Ryan Hadad.
Barrett Saleh.
Sports Talk Mississippi.
Smothered and covered.
We have a long history with my show.
This was you were the main guy, but I was in terminology I was the producer. And
that's true.
You sent it to me, and I clipped it up, and we sent it out, and it was
a great show.
It was as
we
good
had what
an SEC
we had 8,000 subscribers.
Yes.
In 2018.
It was as good an SEC football podcast as there was, and we were.
I would say it's one of the first.
We were 10 years ahead of the game.
We were,
and
we hadn't been paid for 10 years either.
That ain't never happened. If we ever get paid, we're taking a trip together.
Yeah. And we're going to go to a casino, and it's going to be free money. It's going to be incredible. It's going to be incredible.
But for real, because I know people give you crap. I'm so glad this podcast is back. It's a great podcast.
I appreciate that.
And I'm glad Smothered and Covered. It's a great name, too.
It is. Still working on that Waffle House sponsor. But
we'll make it happen.
Yeah, so it's Mississippi State Day.
It is.
Which means we have to talk about how much I hate Mississippi State.
You hate them.
I absolutely. It's not that I hate Mississippi State. It's that I hate you and every specific fan. All of you.
Even my cousin Steven?
No, I like Steven.
Okay.
No, I like Steven. I don't, especially those guys on Twitter that like think that I have some personal
Dog
like
69 420?
Yeah.
Yes. That guy?
Yeah. And about everybody else too.
Yeah.
But Jeff Lebby is here now.
Yes.
He's walking around somewhere. He's supposed to go to your desk.
He's easy to spot. That's a big dude.
He's. Yes.
I don't think people realize how big he is. He's a former offensive tackle.
Yeah, I didn't realize it. I mean, I've seen him before.
He signed with Oklahoma out of high school.
I understand why.
Yeah, big man.
What changes? Does anything change?
Yeah. Well, in terms of from last year to this year, yes. State will be better offensive. Now, they couldn't be much worse offensively.
And Blake's there, and Blake's decent.
Blake's a good quarterback.
He's not going to knock your socks off.
Yeah,
but he's going to do all right.
And the thing with Will from the season ago is we learned that Will Rogers is a system quarterback.
100%.
You put him in the air raid, and he'll thrive. He'll be fine there. I don't know what he's going to do at Washington. I don't know what
he's going to throw ground balls like he did at Mississippi State.
I'm worried about that.
No, honestly, people are like, "Oh my God, Will Rogers at Washington, he's going to be awesome." I'm like, did you not watch Will Rogers last year?
It was rough.
It was bad.
And he battled a lot of injuries. And he's a tough kid, and I like Will, but he's an air raid quarterback.
Sure,
no
100%.
Blake Shapen in this offense has the tools and has the ability to be successful. And when you look at Lebby through the years, when he's been offensive coordinator, Dylan Gabriel at Central Florida, and then again at Oklahoma, Matt Corral. I mean, Corral ends up being a super talented guy, but in 2020, we didn't know that coming into the season. We knew he had some tools, but he ends up being a great player. Elijah Moore was a player, he was more famous for raising his leg in the end zone than anything else.
Which changed the trajectory of Mississippi football forever.
Yes.
Which is still so freaking funny.
But nobody
knew. The dude pretended to pee like a dog.
Yeah. The Egg Bowl deserves games like that.
So, the Egg Bowl gets a lot of games like that.
So, but nobody knew, the next year, he was going to have a better season than A.J. Brown or Dante Moncrief or Laquan Treadwell ever had at Ole Miss.
Yeah.
And he did it all against SEC opponents.
Yeah.
In 9 games, he had 86 catches. This offense makes stars.
Yeah.
So, there's a guy on State's roster right now, and I can't tell you who it is, I don't know, that's going to catch 60, 70 passes this year for close to 1,000 yards. If Shapen is healthy, he should throw for 3,300 yards and 25, 30 touchdowns. The problem for State is going to be stopping people.
Yes, which generally is part of the equation. And I don't know if they can do it.
State through the years has always been a team that's been defensive first.
Sure.
They've always had great defenses. This year, they have a lot of question marks. And I'm being really generous when I say they have a lot of question marks on that side of the ball. The comparison I keep making over and over again is Lebby and Kiffin's first year at Ole Miss. That's one of the worst defenses in college football history. They couldn't stop anybody.
And all they had to be was adequate.
If they had been adequate, they might have won the national title.
The bar was that low, but he still couldn't reach it.
He took a team that averaged, I think, 23, 24 points a game, and they averaged 39 points per game against an all-SEC schedule. It was insane.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying State's going to average 40 points a game, but if they're averaging 31, 32 points per game,
it's fine.
They're going to be fine.
Yeah.
So it's 2 things this year for State. A bowl would be great. If they can get to 6
I think
wins,
it'd be tremendous.
You would feel great. It'd be like Mullen's first year.
Yeah.
They missed the bowl game, but they played two top 25 non-conference teams.
But that set the
bar.
foundation.
And
it's
the
like,
other
okay,
thing was,
this is the floor.
Just seeing the difference offensively. Mullins, first you're coming from Sylvester Croom to Mullen, you were like, all right, they're going to be better. You can see where they're going. And the same thing can be true here. If they come in and Lebby's offense looks like Lebby's offense, they're going to be fine long term.
You know what's crazy? And I was thinking about this while you were talking. 6-6 a bowl game would be fine.
Yeah.
It's almost the same thing at Florida. Think about that. Florida's here today too. But getting back to Mississippi State, I want to talk about the NIL collective stuff because I always when the NIL rules changed, I thought, okay, places like Starkville, Lincoln, Nebraska, like they have a chance to really succeed because of the tight-knit community that really, really, really wants you to win and have been starved. It hasn't evolved that way. Right. You have these collectives, multi-million-dollar collectives, and Mississippi State, just from a financial perspective, is not what Texas is, or Alabama, whatever. Right. Jeff Lebby's biggest strength is organizing that.
Yeah.
What have you seen in terms of the changes with the collectives and how Mississippi State is sort of operating now?
You know that in the state of Mississippi, everything is it's skewed through the egg bowl, right?
Really?
Yes. So, and you've seen Ole Miss and the incredible success they've had in the transfer portal, and it's led people to think that State is just not doing well on the NIL front, which is not true. State has done very well.
It's not where it's not where an SEC, other SEC teams, and it's not where it needs to be, but they're all right.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good enough. I mean, especially from State's offense this year, of the starting 11, 8 of them will probably come from this transfer class.
Yeah.
They didn't come for free.
No.
If you want to look at basketball, State signed, I think, one of the number 2 or 3 transfer class in the country.
Yeah.
They've got the cash. That's not an issue. They got off to a slow start. John Cohen, when he was at State, did not embrace NIL the correct way. He really wanted to focus on baseball more than anything else, which is just...
Y'all are doing all right there.
We're doing fine there. So... when Zach Selman took over and then they finally got the NIL going with the Bulldog Initiative, and basically it's one man you have to think. His name's Charlie Winfield. He's the head of the Bulldog Initiative, who basically just one day decided, I'm tired of State being behind. I'm going to do something. And
this kind of sucks.
And organized State's collective and took it from there. Now they're at a point where they can be competitive with anybody they want to be. I feel like this year they didn't have any success in the transfer portal on the defensive side of the ball. I think more of that is because transfers who only have a year to play didn't want to put themselves in a position with Coleman Hutzler where they didn't know anything about the guy. I don't know anything about the guy. You cover college football. How much do you really know about Coleman Hutzler?
Not much.
So,
but I don't know a lot of things.
That's true. It's true.
Ask Mississippi State message board.
I mean, But that said, there was this distrust of, I don't know this guy and I don't want to spend my last year doing that, and it's part of a rebuild. I think if Hutzler goes out and just shows that, again, being competent and looking like an SEC defense at times, they'll be much more successful next year.
Sure.
So from a collective standpoint, State's in a pretty good spot. Everybody could have more money.
Sure.
But right now, Mississippi State's in a spot where they can compete in the SEC in the collective world.
Moving forward, no divisions.
Yeah.
Texas and Oklahoma now here. Has Mississippi State's expectations within the program, has it been recalibrated? And what is the ceiling now?
So I have always said for State, and I believe this for Ole Miss too, but Ole Miss has kind of broken away from this now these past few years. They're going for a third 10-win season in 4 years.
That's insane.
Unprecedented success. And it's got to give Kiffin all the credit in the world.
Ole Miss lover.
Don't even. So for State, I look at things in terms of cycles. In a 5-year span, I think State should be 3 of those 5 years a 7-8 win team.
Okay.
They can find a way to go 500 in the conference and win 4 non-conference games, and they're good. You have 1 year where you lose a lot of guys and you're down, and you're 6-6, and you might be 5-7. You might be.
Yeah.
And then 1 year, everything should click right for Mississippi State, and they're in the college football playoff discussion. They can be a 10-win team. Okay. Now, State has had this cycle has existed for State. They've missed the big years the last 2 times. It was 2018. That 2018 team where Mullen leaves and Moorhead comes in, that team was built to win 10 games. They had the number 1 defense in the country, Fitzgerald at quarterback. And
everything was set up, right?
And they decided they wanted to throw the ball all over the field with Nick Fitzgerald. If Mullen had stayed...
I still have no idea why they would do that.
If Mullen had stayed, they would have won 10 games.
Sure.
There's no doubt in my mind. And then last year, you brought back a ton of guys, and you're thinking you're coming off of a 9-win season. You're going to be in good shape, and then Mike Leach passes away.
Right.
And then Zach Arnett decides, I don't want to run the air raid anymore. And everything falls apart. Last year's team was built to be a 9 or 10-win team and be, where Ole Miss was, State could have been there, too.
If Mike Leach was there.
If Mike Leach had been there, they would have won 9 or 10 games.
I agree.
But so State has missed that up year, and that's tough on fans, especially when you see Ole Miss, and they've had 3 of the last 4 years now that they've been right there. State needs to have that up year. It's not this year, obviously.
No, yeah.
But can it be maybe next year or the 2 years after that? Next year's going to be tough because your home schedule is going to be Georgia and Texas and Tennessee.
Yeah.
And those are not games you want to play anywhere.
Not
but
at all.
Playing at home, it's going to be tough. They can find their way to being in the college football playoff discussion, not this year, but with Jeff Lebby and bringing a more innovative and a more modern approach to offensive football to Mississippi State, the path is there for State to be a team that can be competitive year in and year out.
Hey, Dad, appreciate it.
Anytime. We screwed that up.
Bro hug.
Oh, yeah.
Bro hug.
I'm in. Bring in for the real thing.
Now, whoever's watching or listening, if you know a guy named Keith who used to own a podcast company,
we're looking for him.
I mean, he owes us a lot of money. A lot of money.
A lot.
They owe.